Good afternoon. My name is Freddie Williams. I work here at Wettermark Keith in the personal injury department. I'm a case manager for Christopher Keith. I handle personal injury claims. That could be a slip and fall, dog bites, auto accidents. On a daily basis, I negotiate and settle insurance claims for personal injury cases with multiple insurance companies. What I'd like to talk to you today about is what you should consider when purchasing an auto insurance policy. A lot of conversations I have with clients, they don't really know what they should do when purchasing an insurance policy because they don't know a lot about the insurance industry. With my experience, I've worked for one of the largest insurance companies in America, at Allstate Insurance, and I didn't know a lot of the things about purchasing an insurance policy before I started working in the insurance industry. So one of the things you should consider when purchasing an insurance policy is what type of coverage should you purchase and what amount of coverage should you purchase. And me personally, I try to tell all of our clients it's very important to make sure they have the proper coverage they need to cover their vehicles and the proper amount of coverage because you never know what type of auto accident you're going to be involved in. Most people that I speak to, they don't know what to purchase. And I always tell our clients it's very important, one, to make sure that you have coverage that's going to cover your vehicle. A lot of agents will tell their clients, depending on the age of the vehicle, what they pay for the vehicle, they do not have to have collision coverage. I try to tell all of my clients, if possible, you need to purchase collision coverage on your policy because you never know if you're going to be hit by someone who isn't insured. You never know if you're going to be hit by someone who's going to flee the scene. If you do not have collision coverage and someone hits you that's not insured, or they leave the scene of an auto accident, your property damage to your vehicle will not be covered because in the state of Alabama, you cannot purchase uninsured property damage coverage. So it's very important if you purchase insurance to try your best to purchase collision coverage. I understand everyone's income situation is different, but it's very important to have collision because you never know what's going to happen. Now, when you purchase collision coverage, the second thing you have to think about is deductibles. Most policies have a $500 deductible. Some policies have a $1,000 deductible. That's all dependent on your income. If you can afford, when you have an auto accident, to pay a $1,000 deductible, the higher the deductible, the lower the premium. So if you have a $500 deductible, that premium is going to be a little bit higher than if you have a $1,000 deductible. Next thing you need to think about is uninsured or underinsured motorist bodily injury coverage. If you're in an auto accident and the same situation occurs where you're hit by someone who's not insured or they leave the scene of the auto accident, you want to make sure you have coverage to cover you or your family if you're injured in the auto accident. If you decide to decline the uninsured motorist coverage and someone hits you and they do not have insurance or they leave the scene of the auto accident, if you do not purchase uninsured or underinsured motorist bodily injury coverage, there will not be any coverage to cover your injuries or your family's injuries. So it's very important to make sure your family is protected and to purchase uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage. Also, after you purchase that coverage, you have to think about the amount of coverage. In the state of Alabama, you have to purchase at least $25,000 of uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage. The amount of that coverage is very important because you never know what type of auto accident you're going to be involved in or the type of injuries you will receive from an auto accident. So I always recommend purchasing at least $50,000 of uninsured motorist bodily injury coverage. The next thing you have to think about is property damage liability. Property damage liability is the coverage that if you're in an auto accident and you damage someone's property, your insurance policy will cover the damage to that property. You have to purchase liability. In the state of Alabama, you have to have at least liability only policy. But so what you really need to think about is the amount of coverage. These days, everything's getting more and more expensive. In the state of Alabama, you only have to purchase $25,000 of property damage liability. I also recommend at least $50,000 when purchasing that coverage because if you hit a 2020 Mercedes, The amount of those repairs can get steep quickly. With today's vehicles, you have backup cameras, you have sensors in the front of the vehicles, you have sensors all around the vehicle. So the damage and the repairs to those vehicles can get very expensive. If you end up damaging more than one auto in an auto accident, you want to make sure that you're covered and your assets are protected. And that's what you really need to think about whenever purchasing any type of insurance policy. Is you want to protect your family and your assets. The last important coverage that you need to really think about when it comes to amount of coverage that you purchase is the bodily injury coverage. What that coverage does is if you're in an auto accident, you damage someone's vehicle, and you injure someone in the vehicle, the bodily injury coverage covers their injuries, pays their medical bills, and compensates them for any lost wages or any pain and suffering. Also in the state of Alabama, with the bodily injury coverage, the minimal coverage you have to purchase is $25,000. I also recommend purchasing at least $50,000 depending on your financial situation. But I really would recommend not purchasing anything less than $100,000 because if you injure multiple people or you have a severe auto accident, you want to make sure again that you, your family, and your assets are protected. So really what I want all of my clients to get out of that conversation I have about purchasing an insurance policy is the types of coverage and the amounts of coverage. And the main takeaway should be you want to make sure that you're covered for if you injure anyone with your vehicle, if you damage their property, and if you're injured or your property is damaged by an uninsured driver or someone that flees the scene of the auto accident. Make sure you and your family are protected and your assets are protected. So please give us a call here at Wettermark Keith. We have a great culture of hard work here. You can contact us at 1-800-309-050, or you can contact us online at wkfirm.com. Thank you so much.